Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Billotte, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I'd like to welcome Campbell Wiltshire. He is the Vice President of Business Creation at the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce. He has a great local background in small business, and this is a new assignment with the Chamber for him. So, Campbell, welcome, and tell me what is going on at the Chamber of Commerce that's shaking up Charleston here.
Well, it's springtime in the big city, Bill, so we've got a lot going on here at the Charleston Metro Chamber. And thanks so much for having me on today. I'm excited to talk a little bit of entrepreneurial senses and small business with you, but a lot going on here at the Chamber. We've got a new CEO that has just had his 1 year anniversary, wow. So he's got a lot of traction and momentum from that first year under the roof here. And through some of that, he has created this business creation role, as is a new role to the Chamber of Commerce here, but not so much a new role to me in supporting businesses and small businesses and entrepreneurs. So excited to be able to pivot my professionalism slightly and lend a hand here at the Charleston Metro, Bill.
Well, that is, as they say, laudable. I mean, you're really taking on a really big thing here. You know, we are now being called Silicon Harbor. We're growing so explosively in the startup and entrepreneur space. And so you've kind of put yourself out there a bit to kind of tackle all of this stuff. And, you know, you guys had this nice webinar last week or so, and I found out that, you know, your Chamber of Commerce is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, continuously running Chamber of Commerce in America. It's actually older than America, which is crazy to think of.
That's correct. We were a Chamber of Commerce before America was a country. Yeah. Just shows you the age of Charleston, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely something. I don't think I'll ever be part of an organization as old as this chamber for the rest of my life. If I do, then I'm probably with a European organization. But maybe. Yeah, no, it's very cool, very deep roots here in the Charleston metro area. And it is the Charleston Metro. While, you know, Charleston has that old historical sense to it, we also serve Berkeley and Dorchester counties as well, and all the small businesses that especially recently have blossomed in those markets.
Right. And so what do you guys as a chamber kind of define what is a small business? You know, I can kind of think off the top of my head. I wouldn't think of Boeing as a small business, but what do you guys think of as a small business?
Yeah, so really a lot of different characteristics for a small business. I would say anything that has less than 30 people. Okay. Probably if you want to bracketize it with revenue, probably less than 10 million in annual revenue.
Right.
But looking to grow, looking to scale, and see how we as a chamber can support that growth and scalability initiative. I'm going to be putting out a lot of programming with variety of different materials and subject matters for small businesses and for entrepreneurs that can help them further their venture, whether it's HR compliance, legal support, sales, business development, marketing, branding, project management, systems, processes, customer service, IT, whatever that subject matter might be that small business owners or entrepreneurs are looking to gain a little more understanding of. Some of that programming will be brought to you in part by the Chamber of Commerce very soon.
Yeah, my experience with the chamber has been I lived and worked in Washington, D.C. area for many years. And, you know, my experience with the chamber was more as a, you know, lobbying slash advocacy organization for the business community across the U.S. How does the chamber kind of work in this metro area here? What is kind of the focus, and especially for small businesses? It's like, okay, what do we need to, you know, how do we engage with the chamber, and what are we going to get out of doing that? How's it going to help us?
Absolutely. Yeah. So business advocacy is one of our pillars that we really strive on and help to build that strong business climate. One of my colleagues spends over half the week in Columbia
Yes.
lobbying for the business community down here. So we have a representative that is down in Columbia, or up in Columbia, I should say,
Yeah.
speaking on behalf of our chamber and speaking on behalf of the business community that we serve, trying to make sure that, we've got roads that don't spray gravel and you're
Right.
traveling behind a 14 or 18 wheeler in front of you, or getting the right parks infrastructure and recreation infrastructure to our area, ensuring that there's the right legislation coming down from Columbia to the Charleston metro area that serves our business community, whether it's Boeing or it's the bakery that supplies Boeing their biscuits in the morning.
Right, right.
um, that they know that they are represented in Columbia from the Chamber of Commerce here.
That's nice. And you know, you were kind of talking about a little bit of this before. It's like, as a small business, especially just getting started out, you're doing everything from making coffee to coding your website to doing, okay, here's my 12-month strategy and budget. You're doing it all. You and maybe a handful of people. So what is the chamber going to give that company to help them out with some of those things?
Yeah. Well, first thing we're going to do is they've got me, and I want
Nice.
the small business and entrepreneurship community to know that I am on their team. I am an extension of their team. And I am their catalyst for connectivity in the Charleston community.
Cool.
If they need to know a guy that knows a guy,
Right.
I am that guy, pal. And
Nice.
so I want to make sure that that is, permeating through this Charleston community, that if you're a member of the chamber, you can call Campbell and he will connect you to who you need to get connected with. So being a catalyst for connection, but also providing programming that I know that small business owners need. And through that programming, there's also further opportunities for connection. While I'll be in the room and can kind of make some of that connection happen, sometimes the best connection that you can have is with another entrepreneur, and you can bounce ideas off of each other, and being in the same room, listening to the same material, spark different ideas, that you can then kind of ping pong back and forth with other people like-minded that are going through the same rigmarole that you might be going through in your business.
Right, right. And trying to figure out, like, everything from, okay, what kind of lawyer do I need to help me set up the business? Do I need another lawyer to help me figure out how to do contracts between me and other businesses or whoever? And and
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, how do I do a website? And how do I do a storefront? Oh, maybe I need real estate. Oh my gosh. So they can come to you guys and you guys can help them with all of those things, right?
Absolutely. And if we can't do it as a chamber, I will then connect them to the entity that can. We can't take a company from being an LLC to an S Corp if they're looking to add another partner, but I can connect them with a legal representative or a CPA firm that can educate them, hold their hand, and talk through how this process happens,
Oh, cool.
what the benefits are, what the detriments might be to them in their business, so that they have that understanding and ability to pivot their business or grow their business as needed.
Right, right. And I was just talking to a gentleman, Peter, who's setting up a not-for-profit here in the Lowcountry area, and it's a venture capital type thing. And one of the things he was saying is like, for new businesses is to kind of really understand what they're trying to address and go talk to whoever their buyers are to really see that they're going to be able to make a profit doing this. Do you guys help connect businesses to who their, potential buyers and stuff are?
Absolutely. If that's something that they have conveyed to me or to the chamber of, hey, we're looking to get more into the government contracting
Right.
sector. Hey, we have a great product for hospitality professionals. I will try and make sure that there's some genuine, authentic, organic connection that can happen there, whether it's getting them in the same room for a piece of programming, inviting them together for coffee, whatever that might be. I,
Cool.
again, want to be that catalyst for connection. And I'm glad you brought up nonprofits, because nonprofit is essentially running a business in hard mode.
Right.
You've got all of the standard operational stressors of a organization, but then the layer complexities of
Yes.
compliance and boards and
Oh yeah.
grants, and that's not an easy thing to do, if you haven't had any experience doing it before. So I am going to be looking to roll out some programming specifically
Oh,
to
cool.
that nonprofit community as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I've worked for non-for-profits, I've worked for the government, and I can tell you just the amount of what I would call administrivia that goes along with those is it is a Mount Everest of things you have to do. And if you've never done it before, it sounds like, oh yeah, we'll just do a not-for-profit and blah blah blah. I'm like, whoa, 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 hold on before you go down that road. Let's talk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. That is definitely an area where, because you can say one thing about the folks in the low country is they have a big heart. So there's a lot of people that want to do not-for-profits, kind of help everybody out. And I totally get that. So I know you were talking about this in your webinar a week or so ago. You guys have a lot of events going on. You have more events than a person could physically, go to at one time. What are you doing as far as like helping small business figure out, because time is money, as they say. How are you helping the small business kind of figure out, it's like, okay, what events should I really go to? Because I can't go to them all.
Right. Well, it really depends on what that individual or that organization is looking to get out of their chamber
Okay.
membership. If they're wanting to get educational opportunities where they come in and they listen to a subject matter expert
Okay.
talk about certain compliance, governance, talent retention, that might be a thing that they really could go after. We
Right.
also have networking opportunities where there's light hors d'oeuvres and an open bar, and
Nice.
everybody's walking around with a long neck or a glass of wine or a glass of water,
Yeah.
connecting with each other, probably have name tags on, and just creating a good, like-minded, positive place for low country professionals to meet, greet, and connect with each other in a non-stressful environment, I think is something. Streamlining that to that small business place too. I don't want some, massive, C-suite of a large Fortune 100 company coming in and everybody rushing him to try and work with him
Right.
or her. But I
Yep.
do want to create the opportunities where if the biscuit maker that is trying to get their biscuits out into the community can be in the room with the director of catering for Boeing,
Yeah.
that is something that I
That's
want to,
kind of a big deal. Yeah.
yeah, continue to create those collisions with the right people.
I like that. Create the collisions with the right folks. That makes a lot of sense. What about, one of the things, so, that's creating an opportunity, is also creating a challenge. So you collide the biscuit maker, because I know somebody around here makes good biscuits because we're in the South. The biscuit maker with the head caterer for Boeing. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we normally produce, 1,000 biscuits a week." And the Boeing's guys are, "Well, I need 10,000 a week." Okay, that's a great opportunity, but now it's a challenge. How do you help
Absolutely.
those small businesses? Because everybody, say we succeed, how do we scale? Can you
Right.
help us with
Right.
that?
Yeah. Well, at that point, it would probably be looking broader, right?
Okay.
Like you need a larger facility maybe to go from 1,000 to 10,000 biscuits
Right.
and pumping those out on a daily basis. You also probably need to get more people. And how do we go about getting the right labor
Yeah,
number to
exactly.
be able to achieve those 10,000 biscuits? So coming at it from a holistic point of view, like biscuit people are going to say, these are going to be the best biscuits. We've got the best ingredients, the best
Exactly.
recipe. Nobody's going to make any fluffier biscuits than who
You're
we've got.
right, right.
But you got to be able to do that and bring the people on so that that first biscuit you make is as good as the 10,000th biscuit you make.
Exactly.
And reiterating that to the business owners so they know that from biscuit one or from biscuit 10,000, they've got the team behind them, they've got the right footprint in their operations behind them so that they can go and find, McDonnell Douglas and find their catering
Right,
department as
right,
well.
right. Yeah, so one of the challenges, in not just here in the Low Country, but all across America, is the labor market. How do you get good quality employees? What is the chamber, and especially for small businesses, what are you doing in that area?
Yeah, well, we've got a huge emphasis on workforce and leadership.
Mm,
We have a large department that has been with our chamber for a while, because we know that organizations grow faster, more sustainable when they can find, develop, and keep the talent that they need. So
right.
that's definitely one of the chamber's main priorities, is making sure that the workforce that we have here is educated up to the certain level to meet the demand that the jobs need in and around this area, trained to be able to meet those needs. And we're working with various different partners to ensure that that happens, whether it's
Cool.
the academic institutions around the Lowcountry, Citadel, CSU, College of Charleston, Trident Tech,
Right.
et cetera, to be able to provide some of that programming. But things such as Leadership Charleston, one of the flagship programming pieces out of the Charleston Metro Chamber, is another one of those where we have these programs in place like Leadership Charleston that put people through a very regimented and rigorous class, but give them more connections, more polish to their professional career so that they can go out and meet the needs and the demands that the area has in their various occupations.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I have to ask, I know there's a lot of different things going on in this area, but in the small business area, we've got a large veteran community, military community in this area. Is there anything you guys are doing special for folks that are veterans that are looking to kind of transition or start their first business, or maybe their even second or third business here?
Yeah, well, I mean, we wouldn't be a country if it wasn't for our military. So the military is massively important for us. We live in a very government city.
Right.
Believe it or not, Charleston is a very government-related city. And so we have one of my colleagues named Daryl Brown. He's our military affairs director.
Oh,
So he
cool.
handles everything military affairs wise. But to your point, there's definite nuances for veteran-owned small businesses and
Right.
all of the different aspects that it goes in with being a veteran and owning a small business or running a small business. And there's definitely some nuances to that, some of which I'm going to look to get some programming, some training, some insight and visibility into how can you utilize a veteran status for
Right.
your small business
Right.
as the ownership, and leveraging that capability for you as a small business owner to benefit your business and your whole entire organization.
Right, right. Yeah, I know there's changes that are going on with like the U.S. Small Business Administration about how you qualify for loans and all of those types of things. You guys would be a source of information for that too, I would imagine, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're looking to partner with the Citadel in so many different ways, and their VBOC program,
Oh, cool.
that helps veteran-owned small businesses,
That's
that
cool.
have that veteran kind of outreach center need.
Right.
And that's VBOC, Veterans Business Outreach Center,
Oh, cool.
at the Citadel. And they have so many different programs that veterans, soon to be veterans, people that are transitioning out of current service,
Right.
can go and get some support for.
Nice, nice. What about, since we're talking about veterans and the Citadel and schools, what about folks coming out of schools, whether they're coming out of Trident Tech or USC or Clemson or College of Charleston, any of the places, and they're like, hey, I don't want to go work for somebody. I want to start my own business. How do you guys work with those young people like that?
Absolutely. So I'm meeting right now with the deans of the business school in our local
Oh,
area to say,
nice.
hey, all of your business school classes, your entrepreneurship classes, how are those working? Where are those kids going? How can we as a chamber be supportive to that? And what can we do to partner with these academic institutions that have these entrepreneurial programs, these business programs that have the next, Steve Jobs in their classes right now,
Exactly.
or they're the next Jeff Bezos sitting in their class right now. How can we amplify their voice, their venture at this stage right now?
Right.
As they're still got all those creative juices going before the wave of the world has really come over them. How can we amplify them and empower them as much as possible for this entrepreneurial segment that they're
Yep.
feeling?
How to accelerate them to having a family and a mortgage.
Exactly, Bill.
Hey, it's a joyful thing. It's one of the greatest challenges of life, but it's certainly a joyful thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's really exciting. It is always great working with young folks and getting them off to a right foot. And I know I saw again, I referenced your webinar a week or so ago. as part of your membership, you get access to a number of different services. And you guys were like, one of them I remember is like, oh, you guys have access to some like discounted healthcare and other things. Tell me a little bit how membership works in general, especially for a small business.
Yeah, so about a little over 80% of our members are small businesses.
Okay.
The other 20% are the big Mercedes, HCA Healthcare,
Right.
MUSC, et cetera. But majority of our members are small businesses. So we have, again, networking opportunities, educational opportunities. Our office is their office. If they need to have a little touchdown room or a meeting room or a conference room, we have them at their disposal here at our Park Circle office.
Nice.
So we can also be kind of a meeting place for any of our members as well. And outside of the educational and networking things, there are, specific opportunities and partnerships we have with other institutions and organizations that if you name drop, yeah, I'm a member of the Charleston Metro Chamber, and you can validate that, then there's definitely an extra handout that you can receive.
Nice. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. That is one of the challenges especially when you're first getting started. It's like, okay, do I pay for a space and how do I do that? I just need to have a meeting every once in a while. Do I foot the cost of having, a footprint somewhere that I'm not going to use that often yet?
Right.
And,
Right.
As far as your like meeting rooms and stuff like that, are they, an admin question here, are they set up where, I can have a meeting across Zoom or Teams or whatever like that?
Yeah, so all of the Catalyst Center is what we call it.
Okay.
It can accommodate meetings of up to 10 people. I think every single room has a TV in it.
Oh, cool.
You can use our Wi-Fi. If not all of the rooms, majority of the rooms have a whiteboard in there as well. So you can get all those brainstorming thoughts on a dry erase board for further, deep diving into. But it's a great place if you don't need a 12 plus person boardroom to come in, hang out with some people at the chamber, maybe meet with some people. We've got great coffee, sodas, and water here as well.
I want to have to test that. I'm very particular. I like espresso, so I'm very particular about my coffee. So I want to test you on that one.
We're not just a Folgers household here. We've got a lot of different options.
Okay. I like that. So I want to
Awesome.
ask you, like, this is kind of an oddball question, but I want to ask this. I know before you became, the VP there, and you were running a small business, which became a bigger business, obviously. And, when you were running that business, what did you want the chamber to have? And, what are you doing about getting that for others right now?
Yeah, so my role, there wasn't a predecessor for me in this role at the chamber. So I've been brought in to really help support those small businesses and entrepreneurs. And that's what I think Charleston's been missing.
Okay.
Not to speak bad about past chamber roles, but there was a little bit of a deficit in that small business space. The Charleston Metro Chamber had a great reputation for the bigger businesses of MUSC, Blackbaud, Benefit Focus, Volvo, Mercedes, etc. But the smaller businesses might have been a little overlooked by the Metro Chamber. With our new CEO and the development of this role and department, that's definitely a focus for the chamber now. So I would say, looking back on my past role, what would I have liked to see out of the chamber is some of this educational programming that I'm looking to get out and about for the community. Not something that I needed to attend like a class every single time, but if I wanted to learn a little bit more about, legal compliance, or HR onboarding manuals, I knew I could lean on the chamber for that and get some really solid information that I could take back to my office and implement as best as I could.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, because that's sometimes what, that's what I'm finding is the small businesses need is like, you just need a little bit of information that's really credible. And I think a lot of people, obviously, just like I am, we're leaning on AI to get a lot of that information. And some of that's good and some of that's bad. And so, having a trusted source of information and, as you put in an education in these areas, that seems super valuable. What what would you want to tell, if there's a small business out there, they're just getting going or been going for a short amount of time, and they're like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this chamber thing, and they've got a focus in my area, but what do I need to know? What would you tell them? It's like, here's why you need to come talk to Campbell and get involved.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So many different ways I could answer that question. I'm trying to think of the most articulate one.
It's okay.
It really does come down to what does that individual or that organization want to get out of the relationship that they're looking to have with the chamber.
Okay.
There's so many different avenues that we can be of support and service to organizations across our market. Whether that's, again, networking, marketing with them.
Okay.
Let's say they are a subject matter expert in IT, but they're also a small business that does IT work.
Right.
I would love to have them come in and teach other small business owners how they're managing their IT. What steps can they take in their business to ensure that their IT is running smooth and secure? So also amplifying the voice of our current memberships that are subject matter experts,
right,
to be able to be that strong voice of reason to other members that might be needing some advice and education in those subjects.
Yeah. And that's definitely leveraging a lot of things, and it's kind of doing what you talked about a little bit other, colliding people together through sharing of knowledge. And I think that's super valuable. It's like, I've heard from a lot of different entrepreneurs across the Lowcountry. It's like, you can't do this alone. And anything that kind of helps you connect with others that are going through this, or maybe someone that needs your help, that's an opportunity, and that's something that's super valuable. So I love what you're saying there. That makes a lot of sense. What would you say is, I know you're not starting a business now, you're kind of helping small business, but what would you say to someone who's thinking about launching their business out there in the Charleston area and as we say, the Silicon Harbor now? What would you say? It's like, okay, here are some things you should really think about that will give you a boost and start you on a road for success. Big one, right? That's a big one. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, I played team sports. I think, you can get a lot farther when you've got a good group of people that like and trust, all helping to further that venture and that mission.
Right.
I would say that would be my biggest sense of advice, would be surround yourself with people that are all driving after the same goal as you. They might not be, W-2 members of your team, but your banker needs to be on board with you. Your CPA needs to be on board with you. Your IT person needs to understand what you're doing so that they can secure everything part of the technology that you have under your roof. So just ensuring that you've got people that like and trust, they understand what you're trying to do to further your venture, and they're on board with that venture's plan.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I really appreciate that. It's like, having access, especially to local institutions like you guys have, is a great resource for especially people like myself. I just moved down to South Carolina in 2021, so I don't have 20, 30 years of history of knowing everybody down here. And I know a lot of businesses that are moving into this area, and they probably don't know where to go. And they're probably just going like I did, going online, say, oh, here's a bank online, or here's an attorney online, or who, IT person online. I'll go with them. They look like they've got good ratings. And you can get us access to people that are local, they're vetted, they've got a good reputation, and you're not relying on, just what your AI or your rating system tells you,
Yeah. And when you go to a new place and you want to find that professional community of people that are going to be active in the market that you're working in, I'm going to turn the table back around on you, Bill.
Yes.
Where do you typically go when you go to a new place to find that community? more often than not, the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
we can be that catalyst for people coming into this market that want to get ingrained in the community, want to create diverse and inclusive relationships with other business owners and practitioners. That is where I'm going to be the
That's awesome.
grease between the gears in so many different ways.
Now, I'm gonna flip on you also because turnabout's fair play. Since you guys, since you're maybe one of the oldest chambers of commerce, you're not the only chamber of commerce. Do you guys
True.
have connections to the other chambers of commerce? Because if I'm a small business, it's like, hey, maybe I don't want to be small the rest of my business life here. I want to be a big business at some point.
Yeah.
Can you connect me to these other chambers of commerce because I want to have access to those markets?
Absolutely. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to make the spokes stronger. We're the
Love
Metro
that.
Chamber, so we all feed into the same cog. We've got a little more space in our footprint than some of the smaller chambers, but we're all trying to do the same work. And so there's no point in us building silos against each other and putting up walls. That's what I'm trying to do, is tear down those walls.
Nice.
So yes, there's definitely connectivity to those other smaller chambers. We, as the Metro Chamber, have that larger footprint so that we can have, good round conversation amongst all of those chambers as well.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, that's awesome. Campbell, this has been amazing. I really want you to come back again and tell us all the things that are going on, especially once you launch a number of these education campaigns that you're talking about. I'd love to hear more about that, and I'm sure others would love to hear that.
I'd love to tell you. I'm as you know, Bill, I'm 1 month into the role, so there's a whole lot more to come, brother.
Yeah.
And would love to get an opportunity to come back on and really reiterate and advertise some of the great programming and educational opportunities that the Charleston Metro Chamber is going to be putting out into the community here very soon.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it, not just from a podcast perspective, but from a business owner perspective myself. And so I'm going to be paying attention to that. I'm going to have to, as they say, eat my own shoe here, and because I haven't signed up for membership yet, so I'm going to have to set an example and sign up, and I would like to encourage others to do the same, because this sounds really amazing, Campbell. It sounds like a great opportunity, and anything we can do to kind of have a rising tide for all ships, I think makes a lot of sense for folks.
Well, I'm just trying to be a revolutionary down here in the Lowcountry, Bill, and a revolutionary for the small business and entrepreneurship community. So if I can be that patriot for our small business and entrepreneurship community, I know that Francis Marion and the boys would be happy of the work that I'm doing.
Very nice, very nice. So, on that means you owe one more podcast with me, because since it's our 250th anniversary of the United States, we should do a anniversary type podcast for the U.S. And you can talk about how, all the revolutionaries here in South Carolina were a key part of making America what it is today. So I would love to have you on to do that if you're up for that challenge.
I am up for any entrepreneurial revolutionary activity with you, Bill. That sounds like a great time, man.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate it. Well, Campbell, it's been wonderful. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Bill. You do the same. Look forward to speaking with you, and congrats on the growth of Lowcountry Revolutionaries. I love what you're doing, man.
Thank you. That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Billotte, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of Lowcountry innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.